What's going on, everybody? KingofDragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Injustice 2 Dr. Fate. And so here we have the DC Multiverse Dr. Fate posing out of the packaging. Before we have a look at the figure, let's actually run through his accessories really fast. Dr. Fate only comes with the McFarlane flight stand, which is a little bit unfortunate, seeing as how he should come with a lot of constructs. That is very disappointing in my honest opinion. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually move on to his details. And so here we have a closer look at the DC Multiverse Dr. Fate, and McFarlane has done a really good job with Dr. Fate here. I'm not going to lie, I love the detailing on this figure. He does have some issues, we'll get into those issues sooner, but just look at these details on his helmet, it's really nice. One thing I did really like was his suit in the Injustice video game. Now this is the base suit that you get in Injustice, so when you start the game up and you play as Dr. Fate, this is the costume you're greeted with. Really loving the colors. The gold stands out beautifully. There's a lot of detailing here on the mask. You can see that it's pointed really nicely, and then we do have some detail going up and over his ear all the way to the back, which does wrap around to the other side of the helmet, which is a nice little detail. It does give some depth to the helmet, and I do love that. Something I also love is the crest that they added here on the helmet. It looks really good. The helmet of Naboo looks really awesome, and I love the eyes right here. Now, unfortunately, the eyes underneath the mask, they're gold and white. I would have liked to see a little more texture behind that, maybe some flesh tone and maybe some red eyes. But I know that they were glowing white eyes in the video game, so I guess I'm going to have to settle for that. But yeah, really good job on the helmet, and then the rest of the costume has just as much detail. I love the fact that for the most part, the gold on the figure is sculpted in gold and the blues are sculpted in blues, and that really shines here, especially on his chest plate right here. You can see he does have the Ankh right here, and that is done in silver paint. Then we do have this really nice gold going throughout the figure. One thing I really love is this cape. McFarlane did a fantastic job, not just sculpting the cape, but adding some detail to it. Now, it is accurate to the game where you do have this V design on it, and it would have been nice if this cape was a double layer. I know this is the way it looks in the game, but I'm just thinking in my head that maybe this V should have been a top cape, and then the underneath part should have been a second cape. I think that would have looked really cool. Might be an idea for a cosplay. But yeah, really loving the way he came out. The cape looks phenomenal, even with the seam right here where you can see the border. It would have been nice if the border was a separate color. That way we have some differentiating colors from the cream yellow. Maybe make this the same type of gold that you use on the helmet. That would look really nice. That might be a project to do in the future. But anyway, moving on to the figure. Really do love his chest piece right here. It has a lot of detail. Just how much raised detail is on it, followed by the clips for the cape. His pauldrons do have the Ankh on them, and I really do like the fact that the pauldrons are beveled. We do have a border around them, and it looks really nice. His suit is another really great touch. You can see all the detailing throughout his costume. Just littered with detail, and it's a very solid sculpt. I really do like it, and the colors do a really fantastic job of contrasting with each other. We have the gold with the dark blue, the lighter blue, and then some really dark blue right here on his abdomen. Just really fantastic. We even have a little bit of brown, and that looks really good. It's spotty in places, but for the most part it looks really good. Gauntlets here look really nice. You can see just how much detailing they have, although they are kind of plain when you compare them to the rest of his armor. The gauntlets here could have used maybe an Ankh or just some Egyptian designs right here, maybe a Scarab Beetle. And that's not a hit at McFarlane, that's just game design. They should have added design right here on his gauntlets. Now, one issue I do have is how far that ball joint protrudes out of the joint. If they were going to do this, this joint should be recessed further in, maybe right where the blue is, and have this as a blue joint and then have the wrist free. That is a very terrible decision by McFarlane. I have no idea why they did his hands the way they did. We don't even get spell casting hands. We get a fist and a grip hand, and then we don't have anything for him to grip, so that's even more frustrating. Because the gauntlet is supposed to attach to the wrist covering right here, and you can see just how disjointed it is. It's like a very bad disjointed hitbox, and that's terrible. I do like the fact that it does have the Eye of Iris right there, so really good job. We do have a Scarab Beetle right here, which looks really nice. I love the way it just wraps around. The belt has some really superb detail, and something that they did with this figure that I honestly wasn't expecting is that this piece right here, the one holding the belt and the tunic right here, is a separate piece from this tunic. This tunic is actually pegged in on his crotch piece and on the belt, so that is very interesting that they went that route. I understand why they did it. It makes this part look smoother, and it makes this look like it's just one part rather than one thick diaper piece. So again, I understand why they did it, and it worked out phenomenally. Now, I kind of feel like his padding right here on the side of the leg should match this blue. It's the same texture, it's the same pattern, so I don't know why this isn't the same blue that we see up here. It might be a mistake by McFarlane, could be like that in the video game. I don't know. I haven't booted up Injustice in like 4 years, so yeah, there is that time discrepancy in my head. But yeah, I feel like this should be the same blue as that. But overall, really like the design on the pants. They did a really good job with that. On his knees, we again have the Ankh, and it's just like his Pauldron. It's beveled, and it looks really nice. Then we go on to his Greaves right here, which you can see the type of detailing I'm talking about. This is what the design on his gauntlet should have looked like. I don't know why they left the gauntlets plain, but gave him this really intricate Greaves. You can see they do have some really nice detailing in them, and they look fantastic. Really, really detailed Greaves. They do have some Egyptian hieroglyphics there, so McFarlane did capture that detail nicely. And then we do have his shoes. So overall, Dr. Fate here is a phenomenal figure, and I am really happy to have him in my collection. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him compared to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have Dr. Fate posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Dr. Fate posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Dr. Fate posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally, here we do have the McFarlane Dr. Fate posed next to the DC Universe Classics Dr. Fate and the Mezco 1/12 Collective Dr. Fate. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to Dr. Fate's articulation. He does have a double ball joint in the head, but as you would imagine, the way his helmet is shaped, it does really severely limit his articulation. He can't really look up, he can't really look down, he can still tilt his head side to side, and he can rotate his head slightly, but that helmet gets in the way so much. That is an oversight by McFarlane. I don't know what they were thinking, making the helmet that wide at the bottom. I don't remember it being that wide in the game, but again, I haven't picked up Injustice in years, so that is a little bit unfortunate. But having a look at his shoulder, it is on a ball joint that pegs into the torso, so it does pivot up, does pivot down. We do have a slight butterfly joint, but it's really slight. It's not the best. Arm does go all the way around, no problem. Arms go out to the side, no problem. Now, his pauldron is a soft piece, and if you want that to go over the cape, you can get that to go over the cape, or you can get it to go under the cape. So it's really up to you if you want that pauldron up and over or underneath the cape. We do have a bicep swivel right here, and I do like the fact that his pauldron is attached to the bicep. That works so much nicely. It does have double bend here at the elbow, really good range there. We do have a ball hinge here at the wrist, so that does have in and out movement, does rotate to have up and down movement. Again, it's a very, very ugly joint. They should have just cut this blue part off, attach the ball joint here, make it blue, and it would have looked so much nicer, but ugly, ugly, ugly joint. It does rotate on that peg as well. Now, Dr. Fate is just like the Joker, the Batman Who Laughs, Robin, where we do have a hinge here at the torso, and that does allow him to crunch forward, does allow him to crunch back. Now, unfortunately, because this is an overlay, it does crunch more going back, and as you can see, you might have a problem where it does slip out of the belt. You just gotta really wedge that back in, but like I said, it does work. You just gotta really work for it, unfortunately, and there are things that do catch on themselves, so do be aware of that. He does have rotation here at the waist. We do have a hinge that does let him pivot side to side, but again, he just bunches up and catches everywhere. They should have just cut across the torso and gave him a traditional abdomen crunch, so not the best way. He does have legs that kick forward to about there. His tunic does get in the way. Go back, go out to the side, and I've already popped the tunic off the peg. You can see right there. Yeah, so you do have to be careful with this, otherwise you're going to be popping things off. It's not broken, it's just popped out of place, so yeah, that is unfortunate. No thigh swivel, and he does have double jointed knees, which work really nice. I do like that, and I do like the fact that the knee pad is attached to the knee and not the gauntlet. No boot cut swivel, but we do have rotation here at the ankle. We do have a hinge which goes back and forward, and again, they made the ball joint too low on his joint. That should be higher up, because this part should be capping his the top of his foot, so I have no idea why they made these ball joints so egregious. It's a crime, to be quite honest, and looks really bad. We do have forward facing pin for rocker, or we can rotate that to give him a true rocker ankle, and then of course we do have a toe hinge. So overall, Dr. Fate has some pretty decent articulation. He's not the most acrobatic character you're going to have in your collection, so it makes sense that he's not as articulated, but I would have liked to see more out of him, especially because he is one of my favorite characters, and McFarlane kind of did him dirty in some places, but he does shine in detail, and for the most part, most of his articulation. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually move on to my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the McFarlane DC Multiverse Injustice 2 Dr. Fate pose for my final thoughts, and overall, I do like the figure, don't get me wrong. He does have some issues though in terms of articulation. I'm not a fan of the fact that he has a rubber overlay. Yeah, McFarlane's getting better and better as they do the rubber overlays, but I do have an issue with it, especially because he gets caught on a lot of things with the belt, the tunic, the crotch piece. There's just so much for all those loose pieces to get snagged and caught on one another. It does make posing him a little bit difficult. Now, that's not to say he's impossible to pose, but yeah, getting him posed the way you want does take a little more effort than you're used to. Plus those ball hinges on the forearms and the calves, those look terrible. The way they should have done the wrists, they should have completely cut off that blue part on the gauntlet, attach the ball joint at that point, and then attach the hand, because that would really shorten the distance from hand to ball joint to forearm. And like I said, it is egregious the way it looks. It's not the worst, well no, this is one of the worst examples of a ball hinge I have seen in recent memory. So yeah, big step back on that front, but overall I think the figure is done very well. I do feel like they did miss out hugely on accessories. Dr. Fate should have come with a plethora of accessories. We should have got Onks, constructs, the Book of Fate, you name it. We should have gotten it with Dr. Fate, and I am disappointed that we just got the figure. Now, Dr. Fate is starting to hit stores at the time I'm making this video. He will run you about $20, which is pretty much standard for McFarlane toys, which is surprising, especially with the amount of detail that this figure has. I'm honestly surprised they didn't include accessories with him, but that's neither here nor there. If you're a fan of the Injustice franchise, or just wanted Dr. Fate to throw into your multiverse display, this is a really solid figure, and he does look like he should come down in a movie, so you can even throw him in with your Justice League display, which I know a lot of people have already done. But yeah, just feel like McFarlane should have taken a little more care with designing this figure. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other DC Multiverse videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it fits in my collection, I'll gladly have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.